I feel so isolated now.
Hmm.
Um, I said to my mum yesterday, it's like everybody's on this level sort of environment, and I've fallen underneath it, and I'm looking up at everybody, and I
Hmm.
can see, and I can engage in those relationships, but I can't derive any pleasure from it.
Right. Yeah. You're like a spectator to everything going on
Yeah,
around you, but you can't.
on my own life, my brain fog is unbelievable. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to work.
Hey, what is going on, guys? This is Mark Millick here with the Moral Medicine YouTube channel. So today we are going to be interviewing Sam. So Sam is a PFS patient that's had PFS for a relatively short period of time, only about 10 weeks now, but he's been impacted enough to the point where he wants to share his story as soon as he can. So Sam, we really appreciate you taking the time here, man. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. So Sam, we'll jump into your story here, man. Obviously you've only taken finasteride. You took it for only a week or two. You're only
Yep.
about 5 weeks out. So you mind just giving the audience a quick rundown as to what your life was like before you ended up developing PFS?
Yeah. So just a completely normal 25-year-old. Um, I went to uni. I got 2 degrees in business economics. I did my master's in investment and finance, and then I got a job in London in the financial industry. I was feeling pretty good about that, sort of looking to progress. Um, Also into bodybuilding, like festivals, just normal stuff really. Just spending time with my friends, family, like super close with my family. So just a normal person really.
Right.
Uh,
Absolutely.
but I was loving life. I really was. I think everything was going well. My job was going well. I had a nice relationship. My friends, I was with them every day. Um, yeah, and then it's all gone.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah. In such a short period of time too. I mean, you're just a young guy, a young professional living your life, and then you get hit with this. So I
Yeah.
know I can relate to that, and a lot of other people who are watching this video can relate to that too, man. So how did you end up getting prescribed finasteride?
So there's a local, well, I say local, it's a national pharmacy, Boots, and I went on the online prescription. Um, they said, "Are you aware of the side effects?" And then they listed like two, I think.
Sure.
They said like mood and lowered libido.
Hmm.
So I thought I'm already in a mood about losing my hair. Like, I'm worried about that, so I can kind of deal with it. And I think if it works, I probably wouldn't be in a bad mood. And lowered libido, mine was good anyway, so I thought it's not going to change my life, is it? So I thought, great. If that's what we're looking at, I could probably deal with it. And they said for the most part, that's probably not going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, so I'm fairly confident at this point that it's the right decision. I remember I took my first pill and I was like driving to my mate's house thinking like, great, the hair loss is done.
Hmm.
This is like the next step now. I can stop worrying. Everything I can focus on everything else. The stress of the hair loss is done.
Right.
Um, and that obviously isn't what ended up happening, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we play these mental gymnastics with ourselves, right? Where we tell ourselves if we lose our hair, our mood, we're going to get depressed anyways. So we may as
Hmm.
well address this now.
Exactly.
It's worse, man.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's where I tell everyone. I mean, it's so easy to fall into this trap, obviously, because you convince yourself there's nothing I'm going to deal with regarding the symptoms that are going to be worse than losing my hair. So you ended up taking it.
I would love to all my hair to fall out and it to go away tomorrow.
Yeah,
I don't care. I'm sure you're the same. You don't care about your hair at all anymore.
I would give every follicle off the top of my head to be rid of PFS at this point, man. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
And
pretty
more. I'd give everything. I'd give literally everything.
sure, absolutely, man. So after you took that first pill, then you said you basically felt better. You almost probably took a sigh of relief. You're like, all right, I'm good to go. I've now addressed this issue. Let me move on and go, start living life. So,
Hmm.
I guess how soon after, or how long did you take the medication for, and then when did you start noticing effects?
Took it for about a week.
Hmm.
Uh, Started to get like a lower libido and thought, oh, maybe it's not for me. So then I stopped it and then it came back. It was fine. So I thought, oh, it's in my head, because I think there is like sort of a stigma attached to this. There's a nocebo effect.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, okay. I thought myself into like a bad mood about it.
Right.
And then I went back on. I had these couple days where I felt super like charged up, androgenic type feeling. Like in the gym, I was hitting the heaviest I've ever done,
Mm.
like so much higher than I'd ever done, and I thought it was weird. I don't know where it came from, and then it all just stopped. Like I crashed so hard.
So that was after you quit taking the medication, you were noticing like these hyperandrogenic effects.
Yeah,
You were feeling good. And
I was feeling really good, like the best I'd ever felt.
wow.
And then I thought, if this is how it makes you feel, I remember saying to my friend actually that I feel amazing.
Yeah.
And then just within a day, everything went off, like
Yeah.
everything. And then it started with insomnia. So
Hmm.
I slept for like an hour, and I thought that's weird. And
Hmm.
then I thought I need a nap today, and I laid there and I started having panic attacks, and I thought
Hmm.
something's not right. And then I think it took me 4 days before I got to sleep.
Wow.
I was in an emergency room, like begging them for like to sedate me or give me something, because I thought I was going to die because I literally couldn't sleep.
Hmm.
And yeah, it just went on like that for about 2 weeks, I think.
Okay.
That was the only symptom at the time, just the no sleep.
Just mainly insomnia then. So what about after the 2 weeks? What happened after that? Did you develop any new symptoms?
Uh, I got about 5 hours sleep, and I thought, oh, I'm so glad I'm out of this, because I'd looked up PFS during that time and I saw the insomnia symptom, and I thought like this could be me. And then I got 5 hours, and I thought, okay, maybe I've got lucky here.
Right.
And then I crashed again, and I didn't sleep for like another 2, 3 days, and then everything started after that. So
What else happened after that?
I remember laying there, and then my calf muscles started twitching,
Hmm.
and then it went all over my body. I can still feel them now, like literally sitting here, that I can feel my calf twitching. And it's been
Yeah.
10 weeks now.
Hmm.
Um, Started going to the gym, and my muscles weren't responding. Like literally, like I'm relaxed and I'm lifting as hard as I can, and there's no blood flow. The veins in my arms kind of went blue and just kind of sunk into my skin, and I can't see them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Complete like lack of emotions, feeling completely disconnected from the world. Like I was, my mum gave me a hug, and she was saying like, "You're going to be all right," and I just couldn't feel that, like, a hug from your mum, like it
Connection.
sorts everything out. But I just felt like I'm like a robot, a zombie. Like I actually can't connect with her, and I just started crying because it's like I'm so broken.
Yeah.
And that still to this day is probably the worst thing. Is like I'm here, but I'm not really here.
Yeah. I understand that. I mean, yeah, you can't connect with anybody or anything around you. Did you, at this point, did you know it was finasteride related? Had you connected the dots?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
I kind of realized I was in trouble.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but that feeling hasn't left me. I feel so isolated now.
Hmm.
Um, I said to my mum yesterday, it's like everybody's on this level sort of environment, and I've fallen underneath it, and I'm looking up at everybody, and I
Hmm.
can see, and I can engage in those relationships, but I can't derive any pleasure from it.
Right. Yeah. You're like a spectator to everything going on
Yeah,
around you, but you can't.
on my own life, my brain fog is unbelievable. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to work.
So you are off work at this point,
Yeah,
ever
I've been off
since
for like
you crashed?
yeah, I've been off for 10 weeks now.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah,
And I'm assuming you're just waiting for this, these symptoms to alleviate themselves so you can just hopefully get back to your everyday life. But have you seen any improvements whatsoever, or has things just kind of stabilized, or have they gotten worse?
I can sleep a little bit now, but I'd say everything else is worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got a list of like 20 plus symptoms, I'd say.
Really?
Things that, yeah, like I think the thing that bothers me the most is just feeling so low all the time.
Mhm.
Just everything's flat. It doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah.
I can't feel anything. Totally depressed,
Mhm.
suicidal. I don't even really have a concept of time. I don't know if that's a symptom necessarily or just the shock of everything,
Sure. Yeah,
but days don't feel like days.
yeah.
Um,
Well, you also mentioned too, I mean, you and I were talking before this, you don't have any inner monologue anymore. Like, you can't really
no,
visualize anything. You can't hear yourself talk. It's almost like it's not even just like hearing elevator music. There's just blankness. There's
there's
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I always had songs playing in my head, and my mind was busy all the time. I had OCD as well, so I had
Sure.
an overactive mind.
Mhm.
Um, and when I'd sleep, I'd have really vivid dreams, and you know, my brain was on overdrive all the time. And now it's
Mhm.
like 10% of what it was.
I
I
can
don't
relate.
even have any awareness of how I'm being perceived to other people.
Mhm.
It's all gone, everything.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird too, because I mean, I used to care about how I presented myself. I wanted to present myself in like the most professional, put together way as possible. And yeah, you don't really. I don't know if you feel this, but I don't really care about how I'm perceived in some sense. I mean, I want to care, but it's like you just don't care as much, because you just don't connect
Yeah.
to anyone or anything. You're just trying to survive and get through every single day, man. Like when your health is compromised, all you care about is feeling some sense of
Mhm.
relief. You know?
And it doesn't come.
No,
You wake up every morning thinking, you know, am I going to feel a bit better today? And
right,
you never do.
right, and
I wake up and I'm like, I'll imagine things being better just to calm me down because the reality of what I'm experiencing, it makes my stomach turn over. Like
right,
it's
right.
horrendous.
And you said you were a big gym goer too. So I mean, even going to the gym, you can't find any alleviation there because you mentioned you can't feel a pump at this point. You can't feel that mind to
No.
muscle connection. And I know for me that was a huge loss, man, because I mean, fitness has been part of my life for the past 15 years. I love fitness, and to not even find any relief doing that, it's
Hmm.
horrendous. Where do you turn to at that point? You can't sleep properly. You can't get an escape when you go to the gym. You can't connect with people. So going out and socializing is kind of a thing of the past at this point.
Hmm.
So this has
Yeah.
affected. I mean, it just sounds like every aspect of your life, man.
It's devalued my life so much that all of the things that I feel are worth living for aren't there.
Mhm.
And I don't know why I'm holding on still. I actually don't know. I think it's just I can't let this take any more from me than it already has. Because
Right.
that's all that's left is I am still here, but in what capacity I'm still finding that out. It's been 10 weeks and it's like relearning your body again and your capabilities and there's none of them there.
Right. Right.
So
I mean, in terms of quality
it's
of life, man, you have nothing. You're I mean, you just feel like
mhm,
you're existing. And I don't want to speak for you. I'm kind of speaking for myself here in that sense, but that's kind of what it sounds like you're saying here, obviously. You're
mhm.
kind of just going through the motions of everyday life. And you received absolutely no notice that any of this could potentially happen. I mean, when you went to the doctors, you said they told you about potentially sexual issues that I'm sure they said would go away upon cessation of the medication.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
about
they did.
anhedonia, muscle loss, or lack of a pump or anything like this, or insomnia. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, those are just some of the symptoms. I mean, on top of that, on top of all the mental symptoms, I mean, it's weird stuff like I ran 10K the other day and I couldn't sweat. I've got no body
right,
odor.
right,
I've got no adrenaline response. Um, Even my skin feels a bit numb. I don't, it's like everything's off.
hmm
Everything, every system,
yeah.
mind, muscle, all of it. It's like being on mute all the time.
Yeah, it's like a complete nuking of your endocrine system. You mentioned the
Hmm.
lack of sweating. I had that I don't know if I have that anymore. I'm trying to think, but for the first 6 months after I crashed, I think I told you, man, I would go to the sauna and I would sit in there for 20 minutes, like 120-degree sauna, and I wouldn't even break a sweat. And that
Yeah.
was like the weirdest thing because that's how I kind of detox. I did that after a workout and I felt great doing that, but I didn't even get any sense of relief doing that.
Mm.
And a lot of these symptoms, man, like a lot of people have the same things. They have the anhedonia, they have the lack of sweating, they have the inability to connect, the inability to feel a mind to muscle connection, the insomnia. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just the whole nine yards, man. I mean, everybody is experiencing the same thing with this, and
Hmm.
it's so hard to convey just how impactful this is unless you go through it.
Yeah. I was thinking that it's me telling you this now doesn't even scratch the surface. Like it's
Right.
been 10 weeks. I've cried hysterically every day. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been to work. I
Mm-hmm.
barely eat. My parents are so stressed. My sister,
Right.
she's just so worried about me. They ring me all the time to check if I'm still alive. It's
Right.
that bad.
Right.
And obviously, me saying to them, I feel suicidal, I don't want to carry on. Normally, that would because I'm a big brother as well, and I would never want to tell my sister that. But
Yeah.
like I said, I've lost that ability to understand how I'm perceived and how that would affect them.
Yeah.
And I know it's affecting them, but I just don't have the emotional capability to process that.
As a as a man, I can tell you, and you can obviously understand this. You want to be the superhero for those around you. You want to be the strong
Mm.
person that people can look up to. Your friends, your family, your sister, obviously. And I was the same way with those around me, man. I mean, I was always the rock for everybody else.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
to
exactly.
lose that sort of identity, I mean, that's such a loss in itself. Because I always wanted to be the superhero for everybody, man. I wanted to be the big, strongly burly man who could take care of everything. And
Mm.
so now, I mean, I receive emotional support from my fiance, my mom, my stepfather at this point. I mean, it's horrendous because I didn't need that kind of support. I was always very just self sufficient. I knew how to soothe myself. I'd go to the gym, I'd work out. I mean, there was so many ways I could escape whatever it was I was going through in everyday life, and
Mm.
all these all these everyday life things like having a bad day at work or maybe going through a breakup or whatever it might be, embarrassing yourself at work. It's so minuscule compared
Yeah, none of it matters.
yes, man. And
Yeah.
it's for me, it's almost hard to empathize with anybody else that has, these everyday problems because they're nothing when compared to what we have to deal with, man. I mean, your
Mm.
entire identity is just compromised.
Yeah, physically, emotionally, sexually, everything's gone.
Right. Absolutely.
And then you find yourself asking what's left.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Right.
don't I don't know. I don't My entire identity is just trying to get through the day now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pure survival. And it sounds
Yeah.
like you're kind of just working off discipline at this point. You're a disciplined guy, it sounds like. I mean, like you said, you had a
Mm.
very androgenic life before all this, and now you're just having to go through the motions of getting things done. But I'm sure you don't have that passion or that drive or that motivation to do anything anymore. You're just doing it
No.
because, I mean, how what the hell? What else are you going to do? You know?
Yeah. I have no drive at all to do anything because my mood never changes. It's always flat. So
Yeah.
how do you motivate yourself to go out and run if it's like you feel the same as you're sat on the sofa or you're laying in bed?
Right.
Go to the gym and feel nothing.
Right. Absolutely.
I feel broken emotionally, completely broken.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man.
And there are moments when that really hits home.
Yeah.
So at the moment, my nan is not very well, and I went to the hospital and I was holding her hand, and I
Mhm.
started crying because I just couldn't feel that. Like that's my nan who I love so much,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm holding her hand while she's laying in hospital and just feeling nothing.
Right. Right.
It makes you feel like a monster. Like how am I not feeling anything?
Right. Right.
It's ridiculous.
And you can't explain that to somebody unless they've gone
No,
through it.
I
I mean,
wouldn't have ever believed this was possible to feel this
right.
numb.
Right. Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, yeah, how do you even begin to explain this idea of not feeling any emotions whatsoever about, this loss you're experiencing, with a family member or uh yeah, you feel I can't even explain it.
No.
It's so hard to articulate, man. And that's what makes this so horrendous. I mean, losing those emotions and that passion for life. Because for me, I was a very emotional person, man, like in a good way. Like
Hmm.
I couldn't wait to wake up in the morning, to go to work, to go to the gym, to interact with people, to meet people.
Mm.
When I felt sadness, I felt sadness. When I felt happiness, man, I felt happiness, man, to like the utmost degree.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's a huge loss right there. So it does sound like this, Sam, that your family has been very supportive. You mind talking a little bit about that? I mean, it sounds like they believe you at least.
Oh, definitely. I think without them, I wouldn't be here. No way. Because they keep me going because I don't have that drive anymore to carry on. So,
Right. Right.
you know, they've initially I think there was a bit of hesitation to believe just how bad it was. And
Yeah.
then I think I've been going to the gym since I was 14.
Sure.
I'm 25 now, so 11 years straight. And I've lost muscle like, but I used to be a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and a lot more motivated than this. And I think when I stopped going to the gym, they realized something was wrong, because I've never done that. You
Sure.
know, like
Yeah.
that was the thing that got me through. I absolutely loved it. Everything I did was based around the gym. Like my diet was perfect, my sleep was good. And then I just stopped. And then I stopped leaving the house. I stopped going to work. I've stopped everything. I just literally lay in my bed every day and just wait to go to sleep.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
And them seeing that, you know, I think that's when they realized, yeah, he's not joking.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
It's kind of a
is,
wake up call, obviously, when everything that you used to do, you no longer want to do, and you're not doing
mm.
it, you know? Um, if you don't mind me asking, have you gone to any doctors about this, or have you gone back to the doctor that prescribed you this medication?
I've been to A&E 3 times.
Hmm.
I've been to the mental health crisis team in the UK.
Yeah.
That's what we would call it here. So I've
Sure.
been there 3 times. I've been in a mental hospital for 10 days.
Hmm.
They tried to put me on antipsychotics, which
Sure.
obviously I didn't do, because I know that probably would have just made me worse.
Potentially make you worse. Absolutely. So you're even doing everything you need to. You're addressing, like, you're trying to address your mental health issues. You're trying to address, physical issues, and none of that is helping. Obviously, I mean, you're
No.
still in this situation. I mean, you've done everything you're supposed to do. You're proactive. You work out. You
Hmm.
diet well. And have you tried any supplementation or anything? If you don't mind me asking.
I have done. I've spent quite a lot of money on stuff that just doesn't
Right.
impact me at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing.
I don't condone that, because I mean, some people have crashed from even the smallest of things. I mean, somebody takes vitamin D or something, and that can cause them to crash. And you wouldn't believe that until you go
Mm,
through it, though.
mm.
But I mean, I see so many guys who will, spend thousands of dollars on supplements and doctor's appointments, and they'll end up with no progress. They'll be back at square one, and that's why I tell everyone the importance of donating, right? Donating towards the actual viable research that will find, hopefully, a targeted biomarker, and then we can start developing targeted therapeutics. But yeah, it's like running on a hamster wheel, though, man. It's like no matter what you
Mhm.
do, you can't pull yourself out of this, because there's some
No.
type of physiological disconnect in your body. Something's been silenced, and more than likely, your androgens. The things that are supposed to, give you that passion.
Make you feel like a man, right?
Yeah, to make you feel like a man. Yeah, that androgenic flow that you have has been silenced, basically, as a result of,
Completely.
like, the receptors, the androgen receptors in the body. And there's nothing you can really do at this point to overcome that, except maybe time.
Mm.
So
Yeah, exactly. And it's my life that hangs in the balance now. Do I get my life back? I'm hoping that I do. The odds are low. So what do? You can't influence it. You can't do anything to fix it.
mhm,
And discipline doesn't work. Like in
yeah,
your case, you've been going to the gym, being healthy, carrying on with your life. And what has it done for you?
if anything, I've gotten smaller, which is crazy to me. I
Yeah.
mean, I that was my saving grace, man. I mean, everything in my life, I always fell back on going to the gym, and that is
Hmm.
such a huge loss for me. I mean, I wanted to do another bodybuilding show in the upcoming years. That was my plan. I did a bodybuilding show when I was 17, actually, over there in the UK, which was awesome. But I wanted to do another one, probably at the age of 30, 31. I'm 30 years old now, but my body doesn't respond to working out anymore. It doesn't respond to dieting. I can't tone my body up anymore. I can't put on
No.
muscle. So it's like, man, what the one thing that always brought me relief doesn't do anything anymore. And I still
Yeah.
do it. I still do it. I don't, I guess because it's more of like an act of defiance, right? I want to feel like I'm not going to let this disease slow me down, but my body's not responding. I'm not seeing any results. It's like running on a hamster wheel, you know?
But it
So
has slowed you down. Like even as defiant as you are,
right,
you can't fight against it, because
right,
it's just your body just won't respond. And
right,
mine's the exact same. It's like it doesn't matter what I do or where I am, it always feels it's stuck, like on pause almost.
right.
I just feel in this. There's no physical or mental drive in my body anymore.
Hmm.
Nothing.
Hmm. Right.
And how do you explain that to somebody that, because I obviously am still close to, like, in terms of time, I still remember what it's like to be normal, because I'm only 10 weeks in.
Right.
And if somebody said this could happen to you, there's no way I'd believe it.
Right. Yeah.
No way.
Well, that's the thing, man. I mean, you know, when I've dealt with people who have just dealt with like experienced depression in the past, right? I can find a way to talk them out of it. I can get them motivated. I can bring them to the gym. I can help them, you know, become more active because when you become active, your body, you know, it goes through a physiological or chemical change. Like you feel better when
Hmm.
you get active.
Yeah, yeah,
But when your body isn't responding to androgens at this point, or really anything, it's like nothing can change that state that you're stuck in. I mean, it's
yeah,
just it's not just a simple chemical imbalance. The body isn't processing what it needs to. And
yeah,
so, yeah, I think if I were somebody who was talking to someone, if I didn't have PFS, you know, and I was talking to somebody who did have PFS, I would never be able to understand. I would try to
no,
empathize. I would sympathize at the very least, but I couldn't empathize with what they're going through, you know?
no, because it's so unnatural. It's such an unnatural feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And it's like a new age disease. I mean, I don't think there's ever been anything out there where the androgen receptors are completely silenced and stop processing androgens in the body, you know?
Mm.
Um, it's just it's insane, man. It really is. So, having said that, Sam, before we hop off here, man, do you have any additional statements you want to make or anything else you want to say? Any closing statements?
If there's anybody thinking about doing it for your hair, it doesn't matter.
Right,
It really doesn't matter. Don't do it. I wish somebody had told that to me
right,
because it's not worth your life.
right.
Even if I was kind of aware that like things maybe would get a little bit worse, or they could do, and you could have some sort of lingering side effects because I obviously researched a little bit, but this, you know, like we said, I'd go bald tomorrow. But I'd give everything. I would give absolutely everything I had, all the money in the world, my car, my flat, everything that I'd ever earned, I would give just to get my life back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And to that point there, man, I mean, you're not aware that this could even happen to you. I mean, you don't just, you mentioned before earlier the nocebo effect. I mean, everybody
Hmm.
who wants to deny PFS always throws around nocebo effect. I didn't know this
Yeah,
was going to happen to me. Like you didn't know this was going to happen to you. So there's no way you could think yourself into this situation, you
because
know?
it's so far fetched. It's like that these people must have a mental disorder.
You would
It's that.
think, you know,
Yeah.
that's where I try to be somewhat understanding to people who deny this. I don't understand the hostility they have towards us,
Mm.
but I understand the skepticism, man. It's like, okay, I don't know if I fully believe this either. I'd want to attribute it to something else. Maybe it's maybe your hormones are off, right? Maybe you have some type of chemical imbalance. Maybe you're going through something tough in life, but that's not what this is, man. That's not
Mm.
what this is at all. And you know, again, you have no there's no acknowledgement that any of this could potentially happen. If I had known that this was even a slight possibility, I would have never taken the medication, man, ever. I would have just said, you know what, I'm going to keep what I have in my hair. Once it gets so bad, I'll just shave it off and I'll focus on my body and bodybuilding and just building the best life I can. I mean, hair is so minuscule and compared to something like this, your entire life, man, your entire life. It's just it's horrible to be going through this.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you don't ever think you've got the strength to get through something like this either. You have to. Obviously, you have to. But it's so draining. It's like completely drained every part of me that feels human.
yeah,
My
absolutely.
whole life's just become waking up thinking, will I be a bit better today? That's all it is.
Yeah, I
I
know.
got no emotional investment in anything else other than my health. And it's not a sustainable way to live.
Right.
I can see why people don't carry on.
Yeah. That's why suicide is so high in this community, man. I mean, I can't think of a worse situation than having a rare and controversial disease that
Yeah.
very few people even heard of. You know, you get denied by from the medical system, by people online. I mean, there's no acknowledgement, which is why it's so important that people step up and share their stories because this every time somebody goes public, it legitimizes the issue more and more.
Yeah.
And we're all dealing with the same symptoms here. People have pretty much the classic symptoms: the muscle loss, the erectile dysfunction, sexual issues, the anhedonia. I mean, these are all classic symptoms of
Mm.
PFS, man. And especially when you talk to people that have the physical changes, that's not just psychosomatic. You know,
No. You
I've
can't
talked
deny
about,
it.
yeah. I mean, you don't just think your way into thinking. In my case, like having loose skin, like I've shown people over and over again. That just doesn't
Mm.
happen, man. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you
Well,
can think all you want. I've got loose skin. I've got loose skin. It's not going to get loose. That's not
right.
how it
That's
works.
exactly it, man. And that's what
Yeah.
amazes me when people want to deny this. I don't think there's honestly people that say this doesn't exist. I don't think they actually believe that anymore. I think they're just trying to cope and they're trying to uh, find a way to justify them taking this medication because they're so obsessed
Yeah.
with their hair. But I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it now because this is your interview, but I've talked to a lot of guys recently who took it for years, came off the medication, and then they crashed,
Hmm.
because I guess their body is being flooded again with androgens and their maybe the sensitivity of the receptor just isn't all that great. So they shut down. So you're not safe just because you haven't dealt with symptoms yet. I'm trying to highlight that more and more. So,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
don't wish this disease on
If you're
anybody.
on it, I'd be worried.
But I agree. I don't wish this disease on anybody.
Yeah.
I think people need to be aware that this is always a possibility for as long as you're taking the medication, or even if you come off the medication, there's no real way to remedy this. So
We need help.
we do. We need research.
We really do.
I completely
Because
agree.
we're living as shells of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Like the only thing keeping us going is that maybe one day we'll be out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. The
There's
whole
there's no there's no stable and comfortable ground you can get to whilst you wait for a cure. It's not like that. You suffer every single day.
right. Absolutely.
I haven't felt positive or happy since this happened. I haven't felt anything but just sheer depression and numbness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not even a severe case. I'm
Gotcha.
I'm somewhere in the middle, yeah, but
Right.
look what it's done to me,
Well,
And there are people way worse than me.
right. Well, Sam,
So
my heart goes out to you, man. And I really I admire your courage for stepping up and wanting to share your story here. I know it's not easy, but this is what it's going to take to make a difference. And I think more and more people are starting to step up and they're starting to realize that. And I eventually want this to get to a point where it's not even considered courageous, right? To go
no,
public
it
and
should be the norm. It should be the norm.
yeah, absolutely. It's and I think we're getting there. So hang in there, brother. There are better days ahead. I really believe that. But we really appreciate you coming on here, Sam. So thank you so much, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Cheers.